All right, guys, I'm really excited to be here for another episode of Martial Praxis podcast. This time I'm joined by Kyvan. He's someone that I've known a long time. Awesome guy. Thanks for being here.
Thanks for having me, man.
It's pretty funny because you actually, like, when I first met you, you were known for being the funny guy in Jiu Jitsu. Like, you were doing these really funny reels, they were like hilarious. And, but then over the last couple of months, like, you've kind of like totally rebranded yourself. Now you're known as the ecological dynamics guy, which is a cool thing to be known for, at least from my perspective, because it's something that I'm very interested in. Some people hate it.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah. Dude, I think that only happened because I did have a small following to begin with.
yes,
And so like anything I said, I could have said anything at all, I would become that thing.
yeah,
You
yeah,
know what I
yeah,
mean?
yeah.
Cause like yeah, like yes, we do completely approach the CLA, like that's what we do at Bodega, but I only think I became branded as that because whatever I decided to put out in my page, people immediately like that's him. You know what I mean? Yeah.
It was so
I
funny on the TV show when everybody was like at the dinner table and they're roasting you. It's like the worst
brutal.
position to be in. It's like
Brutal,
no, I
dude.
swear I have really sound ideas and I can
And
explain them, but this isn't the format.
is it anywhere else in the world where you have to like be like, no, I know what I'm talking about to nothing but professionals? Do you know what I mean? Like to people that are better than you at the craft.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's the weirdest thing about this like this whole ecological dynamics thing that's so hard. And speaking about like people who hate it, right? In my experience, all of the arguments I've heard against this stuff are all straw man arguments. Like they're always things where people they're like, I don't like ecological dynamics because, and then the because is something that's not even true about it.
Unrelated.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
not actually what goes on. So, I think it's very tricky. Like people latch onto this and they're really against the idea that of changing things, and it ignores the fact that, like, hey, if we've all always done everything the same way, then we don't really know what's best, right? And
Yeah.
I think that's super important.
It is. It's a great point too. And I also feel like it's super emotional, like because people are so passionate about the way they've done things.
Not just passionate but invested, right? Like, how
Yeah.
long did you spend drilling?
Right, exactly. It's
Right.
like, did I waste my time? Like, no, dude, I'm telling you, what I did transferred. But I feel like it does take like a certain amount of humility to go, well, did it transfer because I was forcing it to transfer, or did it transfer because I understood the ideas, or why isn't it transferring in other people?
Or
Uh,
did it transfer because I actually embraced variability and deviated from the technical sequence I was taught,
right.
and adapted
And
a
made
few
it work
things and made it work?
with my body type, with my variables.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. And yeah, and like maybe just to kind of piggyback off of that too, I think that there's 2 points here. I think yes, like people are definitely committed to their idea and their process and their passion, all that. But the other end too is I think this now the longer I've been in this side of the conversation, it feels like it comes down to this general idea of what you believe, which
Yeah.
is do you believe that you can store the data, retrieve it as it happens live? And who the hell am I to say that there's not some weird autist out there who can do that? You know what I mean? Like, you're,
Yes. No,
dude,
absolutely. I agree with you 100%. Like, the really important question, and I think the intelligent question asked is like, what do we believe? How do we define skill, right? Like,
right.
what is skill? And how do we develop that skill in an effective way, and what do we believe that skill is? And I think one of the core like terms that it comes down to is this muscle memory thing, is like
Mm,
the people who go along with the information processing way of approaching sports training firmly believe that in muscle memory. They think that like there's some kind of unconscious place that you can store these movement patterns, and then they're going to
yeah.
get parameterized, they're going to come out. And from my experience, that's very unrealistic, which is why
Right.
I fall so strongly in the other camp. Also, it's funny, like you were mentioning the humility. Like, I always worked in gyms since I was a white belt, so like I've always gotten paid to train jujitsu, and
Sick.
yeah, and like I had to do other stuff that sucked, like
Sure,
sell
sure.
memberships and clean toilets, but I was always paid to like be there, and so I always missed the drills, right?
Mm,
My entire jujitsu career, from white to black belt, I've never been able to be on the mat for drilling.
Yeah.
And I've never thought like I was always like, yeah, that's a waste of time. Like
You know,
I'd rather go to the toilet and be ready to roll than
I wish I had that experience, but I'm honestly glad I didn't have that experience because I was the other end. Like
yeah, yeah,
for
yeah.
me, I'm not very good, or I wasn't very good at doing jujitsu. And so whenever I saw like the things that we were given to be better, which was drilling, situational spars, instructionals, I was like, I'm going hard on those. Like
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
gonna drill like crazy. I'm gonna watch everything, and I'm gonna do a ton of like, dude. I used to for like literally just not do open rounds so that I could do situationals because I was like
More
this, which
situationals.
I think there's still a lot of truth to that. It
Well,
will
I
make
think
you better,
situationals are valuable, right? Because it's still
no
live
doubt.
training. No, you don't like situationals?
No, I said no doubt, no doubt. Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Uh,
yeah.
yeah,
But
because
like,
it's still live training, and it
right.
oftentimes it forces you to work on things that aren't your natural inclination. But one thing I absolutely gets me super pissed off is when people are like, it's two things. One, people will be like, "Well, I've been doing CLA forever," and I'm like,
Oh,
"How? Like it didn't
classic,
exist."
classic. Yeah, yeah,
I'm like, I just read, like, I'm on the cutting edge of shit. Like, I pay attention.
yeah.
Like, I'm always looking for the next new thing. Like,
I feel
as
that way
soon as I
too.
found about CLA, I read a whole bunch of books on it. Like, there's no way that you could have been doing CLA in 1990. Like, it's just,
I think there's okay, well, just to finish my last point was this whole thing of like I would go super hard into drilling and I
yeah,
would just like and I would drill specific sequences like you know the deal, like to the
yeah,
T. It would be like the specific takedown, the specific pass, the specific move, and it just would never happen that way. But then the thing that I argue that I see the other side arguing is eventually it does happen, right? Like
yeah.
you've done it live so many times that you're like, I can repeat this pattern over and over now because I've done it. And then when it does, you're like, oh, well, drilling is to blame for that. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, that's to me, that's just so out there because,
but that's the whole premise that I can understand why people believe. I can't tell you now that I've been branded as the eco guy, how many DMs I get where like people will literally go out of their way. They don't follow me. They don't follow me. And they'll go out of their way to DM me and be like, dude, look at this. We drilled this last week and my student hit it in competition this week.
yeah,
Evidence. And I'm like,
that's
wow.
not
It's
evidence.
such a hard conversation to have. And I've learned like you just don't need to have that conversation. Like these people just, it's what you believe. You know what I mean? It's like
Well, this
saying
would be the real test. Like, if you wanted to do it scientifically, the real test would be you take someone who's like a
only
white
drill.
belt and
Right.
they only drill.
Sure.
They
Sure.
don't do any live training, right? If
Right.
the
Right.
argument is that the combination of drilling and live training is special, then that's like it's kind of an interesting argument, but it's not so sound because if there was some special thing that some special confluence that's happening between the drilling and the rolling, right? Like why couldn't we get the why do we get better results with beginners when we just have them do CLA, right?
Yeah.
So like
Well, okay. So, I
yeah,
mean, do you, I think, okay, I've been learning more and more to approach this a little bit differently because
yeah,
when we say things like we get better results with beginners than not, what are we basing that off of, right? It's our experience in our
sure.
room, right? And
Yeah,
I think that's
absolutely.
really important to recognize. I I'm with you. Just to be clear here, I am
Yeah,
on
yeah,
this
yeah, yeah.
side of the camp. But whenever I'm talking to somebody else, I think it's really important that we distinguish that there is no definitive way to say ours are better than yours yet.
Yes,
You know
yes,
what I
yes.
mean? And so I think that's important because otherwise, again, that's how we almost like build our own straw men
Yeah,
because
yeah,
we're
yeah.
creating these things and saying these things that really don't have backing yet. And so, and not to come at what you're saying, I've just
No,
recently
totally. It's a good point.
changed the way I
My
say these things because
my experience is like how long does it take somebody to implement a functional skill, like to be functional at a particular skill? So like for example, I've run classes that were information processing based around triangles, right? And
sure.
I'll notice that in 2 to 3 weeks I have 7 and 8 year olds occasionally hitting triangles, right? I
Yeah,
can
yeah.
take somebody who's first day and run them through a CLA class on triangles and have them hitting triangles live in sparring that day. It's their first day
Yeah.
that they trained, right?
But we can make the not we. I just again, this is where I think we need to have some again a little bit of humility here.
Yeah.
I've been reading this book on humility, so I feel like that's why that word's hitting me so much. Like it's, but it's this idea of like, what if somebody did 30 minutes of drilling, then 30 minutes of like a CLA, a really constrained game? They might have the same results,
Yeah.
you know. And so then it's like you can't. I don't know, or
I
like
think that 30 minutes is too long. So like
hell yeah,
this is something really interesting that I took away from Cal Jones, right? And I
yeah,
really like Cal Jones, and I know like you're like hardcore Greg,
yeah,
right? And
yeah.
I love Greg.
I'm hardcore Kyle too. I love both of them.
Okay, cool. Because like
But
when
like
they had that debate online and they kind of got into it, it was like more upsetting to me than when my parents got divorced. Like that
yeah,
that
yeah,
wrecked me. Like
yeah.
I was like, I don't know what to do here.
I understand both sides of it now,
Yeah.
and I think that they're both correct. I think that they're kind of just so like just to be clear, we're talking about like the scale of representativeness, right?
Yes. Yep.
So like I believe that there is because now I've again figured out what they're actually debating.
Yeah.
And I think Greg's point makes sense that if there were a scale of representativeness, it's no longer binary, which it should be, because it's like, does it represent what we're doing or not? What
Yeah.
I think he's now, maybe he'll even word it differently. It's a scale of specificity.
Hmm.
And that I think is more reasonable. But Cal is just so intelligent and so smart that it would, you know, what he's saying obviously makes sense. Where do you fall in that debate?
So my take is this, all right, that I like to use both systems. Sometimes I'll play point systems, and sometimes I'll play just binary objectives.
Okay.
And what I like about the point system is that I do feel that it preserves the field of affordances in a more complete way,
Hmm.
right? When people can take, let's say I have a game where you can take somebody down any way that you want, right? And you get 1 point, but you get 5 points if you take them down using your leg to pick up their leg, right? So now the field of representativeness gets preserved by the fact that all takedowns are allowed, but we're able to focus in and hone in because some particular behavior is being rewarded extra. So I think that that can be kind of nice, but I also think that it often creates like internal focus of attention and lots of cogitation. So you're
Yeah.
sometimes better off with these more broken down games that are binary, the way that Greg designs them. You have like this zero sum thing going on, and you're just sort of fighting over a single objective. And I think that one of the things that I find interesting about that style is I actually think that that can sometimes be what I would call hyper representative. So, what I
Mm,
mean by hyper representative is that when I'm in a grappling exchange with, say, a blue belt, right? There's a whole bunch of affordances that I know about that they don't know about and they're not aware of. So I can essentially use trickery to trick them into a bad position. When we
yeah.
do CLA, we make our opponent aware of our goal. So
Hmm.
because we're fighting zero sum over this particular piece of real estate and we're both aware of it, now I no longer have the advantage of that novelty and I have to use actual mechanical grappling skill to accomplish the task.
Right.
So that to me, that's representative of a situation in rolling or competition where I'm training with a highly skilled opponent and they're aware of the critical battlefield that we're
Yeah.
engaged in and they know what's going on. So now it's like I can take a white belt or a blue belt and turn them into a black belt or even like a world
Sure.
champion black belt in the context of this drill because they're aware of what task they're supposed to be doing and it's directly opposed to mine. So I think
Yeah.
when I'm looking for hyper representative and I'm trying to develop particular skills in a very targeted way that I think that that binary system works better. When I'm working with kids and I want to have a more open-ended thing and I want to kind of have it look and feel more like a regular match because there's CLA has some effects on kids' motivation and morale. You know, when you work with high-level competitors, it's not as much of a concern because they have a lot more of a gas tank when it comes to that. But with kids, you have to be cautious about how they feel when they're doing something. So
Yeah.
with the way that Cal does it, it can be a lot more fun.
Yeah. It's definitely more fun. You know, it's funny. I didn't expect you to take that approach. I thought we were gonna talk more about like the holding of like let's say the knee line versus
Ah,
I don't know,
I get what you're saying.
but I really like where you just went on that. So we can go back to that other point. So
Yeah,
I like yeah, I don't see that as more or less representative though. So that almost felt like a preference, and I don't think there was much of a debate on that end. I think
gotcha.
it was more of like I like to do it this way where it's a zero sum versus I like to give it maybe more um what am I trying to say? Like incentive to do a specific way versus the other way. But I don't
Yes.
think either of them are less representative of the real environment. Does that make sense?
Yeah, yeah, totally.
So like I think you said it perfectly, and so that was really cool to hear you sum it up that way because I agree with that. I don't personally use the point system because I'm the kind of guy that like if you give me something that's 5 points versus 1 point, I'm hitting the 5 point no matter what. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And
Yeah,
so
yeah,
for
yeah. That
me,
that that is a problem with that type of spread, right? Like if I
yeah,
notice like and this is one of the things I love about this is it's not so much about what you do, it's like what you do next. So like
yes, dude,
if I was coaching you and I saw you only going for the 5 point thing, I'd be like, okay, this thing is 1 point and the other thing is 1.5 points.
yeah.
You know what I
Uh,
mean? Like
but like,
that spread is for a 5-year-old. You know
yes,
what
the
I mean?
other
Like
idea
it's
too,
not
though,
for
is like I like to actively change the constraints while you're doing the game, and that kind of serves the same purpose. So like let's just say we're wrestling, and I say, all right, you can either win by grabbing both legs or grabbing one leg. And then we're doing like a 4 minute round. A minute in, I can be like, all right, only one leg now. And then
yeah,
2 minutes in, only two legs. And I feel like that provides the same idea, you
yes.
know? And it makes it more difficult, I think, which is necessary for the defender because now they're or easier for the defender because they know that they only have to defend one versus the other, and then you can combine them. Whereas I don't see the points, especially with adults, as that motivating. Like if you tell me 1 point versus 2 point, like it won't matter to me. Like I
You
really won't
actually
care.
tell adults that these points are stupid and that we're
Yeah, yeah,
using them as a like as a placeholder for value, you know, like
yeah,
it's just but you know what's
exactly.
funny is with really high level athletes you don't have to do that. Like
Right. That's what I'm
if you
trying to
tell
say.
really good athletes like this bottle of yogurt is a
Yeah,
trophy,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
like they'll fight to the death over it
Dude,
and it'll be on their mantle 10 years later. You go to
it's
their
a great
house
point. Yeah,
like, why do you
like
have kefir on your mantle?
exactly,
You're like,
exactly.
oh, I won that from
Yeah.
Kyvan in a.
Dude, you just called it kefir. You know, I got shit for calling it kefir. Someone told me it was like kefir or something. And I was
That's
like,
like
bro.
people who call kratom kratom. Like, yeah,
Yeah.
it's right, but you're weird.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, yeah. All right. I'm glad you said it the way I say it,
I
dude.
once got lectured by the girl who does the announcing for like CJI and stuff. Like she used to do high
Yes.
rollers and she was
Yeah, yeah.
announcing for high rollers when I won it and she like gave me like a 20-minute lecture on how it's called kratom.
Really?
Yeah,
It's not kratom?
it's kratom.
No way, dude.
You can
My
ask
best friend is
Alex Wendling,
obsessed with
she'll tell you.
kratom. That's
She wrote like a
hilarious.
paper on it.
Yeah.
Uh, it's so
So
random.
no, but that's just so funny. That's a great point. So the other end was like that. Now this is where I kind of understood Cal Jones' side a little bit more, which was the if you're not threatening the idea of passing the line of the knee, then you're not actually going to get the same reactions that you would of like threatening the chest to chest. Because
Mm,
like in what sense, in his not in his mind, in his perspective, like you're not creating the affordance for them to react a certain way. I hate that I just used affordance. This is the first time I've ever said that, by the way. But
really?
yeah,
Wow.
yeah,
Okay.
I try to avoid that lingo. It just feels so, I don't know,
As long as you don't
elitist.
say invariable.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Invariables, dude.
I'm gonna call Greg and be like, Kyvan was saying
He'll lose
invariable.
his mind. He'll lose his mind. And he'd call me right away and be like, dude.
And then
But
he
anyway,
showed me a technique.
yeah. So I'm very excited to talk about that in a minute, by the way. But yeah, so to Greg's point, I think that it's super representative where I hold the line of the knee consistently in competitions to create the opportunity to actually pass. And I don't fast forward that checkpoint, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
But I understand Cal Jones' perspective of if I'm not threatening that right away, they're not going to react the same way. So I get
Yes.
both because then
Well, I
you
think Cal is emphasizing the standpoint of nested affordance, right?
right
So
like
his
is it
thinking is that
representative?
his thinking. So I think this is interesting too because we're ultimately in a sense like when we talk about passing the guard and segmentation, right? Because I think if you look at it as segmentation, the debate kind of collapses a little bit where you say, okay, why am I holding the line of the knee? I hold the line of the knee to eventually go chest to chest, potentially, right? There's you
Mhm.
have two options. You could be holding the line of the knee to get access to the leg itself and enter the legs,
Or
or
just
you
to
could
pass the line
be
and then get
trying
chest to
to pass
chest
the
and
guard,
torso,
right?
hips. Yeah.
Right. So you're essentially trying to connect to the torso, or you're trying to connect to the base joint, which are kind of similar goals because you just need to get to the hip, right?
Right.
So my thinking and what I tell my students is like, and I've heard you actually say this before, is like, if you can skip steps, then we skip steps, right? Like if your opponent affords you the ability to just jump past their guard into mount, then you will pass the entire leg at once.
Legitimately.
But
That was my high school quote. If you want to get to the top faster, you got to skip a couple steps. That's my quote, dude.
I need to see the senior photo.
I swear I have it. I swear. Yeah. And everyone else's next to mine was like stupid and mine's like driven. I felt like such a loser.
Put like "fuck you" as like an acronym in the thing, and the entire yearbook got redacted.
No, are you serious? You're an idiot. That's such a you.
To bring him back.
That's such a you move, man.
It wasn't me.
It wasn't you. I thought you said it was you.
I had bigger fish to fry than a yearbook. Okay.
Yeah, dude.
So I think Cal's coming at it from the idea of nested affordances, and the idea is like, if you're not the whole overall goal, right, is we're trying to gain access to center of mass if we're looking to pass the guard, right? If that's the goal, then segmentation is a process that allows us to do that better against a skilled opponent. So I think Greg is coming from the standpoint of like, my guys are world-class grapplers dealing with world-class grapplers. They're going to have to segment those legs. And Cal doesn't train that many people on that level. So I think he's coming at it from a standpoint of like, people grapple, and when they're grappling, you have a chance to go chest to chest. And if you don't put the pressure in that direction, then their reactions at the knee line won't be the same. I mean, if you look at camping,
and I think both are true.
Yes.
But the thing is,
when we say hold the knee line, what do we mean? Do we mean stay at the knee line, or do we mean stay at the knee line and put pressure towards the chest?
And make them carry your weight. Exactly. And that's what I mean. Like, that's what I do. I hold that knee line, but they're suffering. I'm not just holding it like with them moving.
Camping.
It's camping, right? Like inside, high head, low, outside J point, all that. And so that's where I feel like there was a disconnect where I'm like, wait, do you not see the value in camping? It sounded like that a little bit.
I think it's a language issue with not understanding this, because hold the knee line can mean different things.
And of course, and I feel like he also was just trying to emphasize like, yes, it's camping, but if you're not camping with the purpose of passing, and so I understand both sides, but now I'm talking, I don't think it's lacking representativeness. I think it's lacking specificity. And I had this conversation with Greg, and that's where I felt like, I was like, well, why didn't we talk about it or why didn't you talk about it that way? But I feel like it was so heated already
in the debate.
That maybe there wasn't room for linguistics at that moment.
I went down to train with Greg once. I would have loved to, but I have this baby who I love very much, who I'm quite hemmed in with what I can do. But he was so intellectually honest and forthcoming and easy to talk to. I also come at him from the standpoint of like, I want to learn from you. I'm not here to argue with you at all, right? Yeah. And when I hear him in the debates online, I feel like we're getting the wrong side of him. Like, it's like he gets flustered by people's inability to parse their questions correctly.
Yeah.
Like, people essentially come at him with non-questions, and it's really hard to respond. It's a genuinely difficult situation, you know. But I wish we could get that side of him that's like so
the best. He's the best, dude.
And he's so smart and knows so much about this stuff. And when you start picking his brain instead of arguing with him, you can learn so much regardless of what your perspective is. Because even just about jiu-jitsu itself, he knows a lot.
He taught me things about jiu-jitsu, not just things about how to apply CLA. Of course. The other thing is like, so he kept saying like, everyone says I'm like a Walmart Greg, where like I'm like the nicer version, right?
That's funny.
And what I'm realizing about that is that I have to educate everybody.
Yeah.
Right. And I think Greg is just like, well, listen, if you want to have a conversation about the subject, I'm not here to educate you on it.
Exactly.
And it just feels like everybody needs to be educated on the subject they're trying to debate. But the problem is they're not looking to debate the subject. They're not looking to debate skill acquisition, ecological dynamics. They're not looking to debate how we learn. They're looking to debate like, why is it that you don't like drilling? Yeah. Why is drilling stupid? I see it work. And they're not, even open to this idea of like how we learn, of a methodology. And
Well,
that's what I've learned. Like literally everyone in my, sorry, just
yeah,
everyone
no,
in
go
my
ahead.
DMs is never like, hey, dude, I read the books and I
Yes,
disagree with these
yes,
points.
yes.
It's
No, no,
always
no.
like, dude,
100%.
yes, bro. And it's like, how are we having a debate? Like before I debated him, I said, let me, like, this is where I feel like you and I differentiate. I was like, all right, I disagree with, I remember when I first heard Greg, I disagree with everything this man is saying.
Yeah.
And I was like, Greg, like, where did you pick this shit up? And he's like, this guy, Rob Gray. So I go to Rob Gray. I was like, I ain't talking to Greg. I was like, I can't stand this guy. I read all his books. And then I go back to Greg and I'm like, dude, I agree with so much of this. Like,
I feel like this makes a lot of sense.
yeah. And
Yeah.
it's, yeah.
My experience was so funny. It was like, the first time I heard him say something, I was like, oh my God, this is it. I
Yeah.
was like,
Yeah.
this
Yeah.
is what
Yeah.
I've been thinking this whole time, but I can't figure out how to say it. And then I
Yeah.
started looking into the literature. Like I started with these like really academic books, and I was like, this is exactly what I've been saying like my whole life. I'm
Yeah.
like, well, I know everyone's been acting like I'm crazy.
That's so interesting. I had like a different route to it because I've never been the super intelligent or like literature guy. Like I read
Yeah,
books, but it's never along those lines. And so I took the approach of applying it right away before learning about it.
yeah, yeah,
And so
yeah,
then I didn't believe him, but I was like, let me just try his stuff. And I saw the merit and like the way it worked right away. And then it
yeah.
became, oh wow, I like that. But now I started obsessing over how do I make a move happen,
Yes.
and I obsessed over that. And then I was like, all right, let me learn a little
So
about it.
this is something I want to ask you about specifically because I'm really interested in your perspective on this. This is actually one of the main things I want to ask you.
Okay.
It's so it's about this. Is like when you're training, when you're coaching and you're designing practices and games, um, what do you design them towards
Yeah.
since you've gotten away from trying to get moves to emerge? And also,
Yeah.
are there any situations like I have a couple of things like the pendulum sweep, like the
Okay.
whirlwind pendulum sweep where
What, from close guard?
yeah,
Yeah.
where
Like
I,
almost a
I
flower
kind of
sweep.
feel like that's the supreme attack from close guard. Like it's like one
It's
of the
very
best
strong.
attacks, right? Very hard to get it to emerge. Tried lots of things to see that type
Really?
of behavior emerge, and
It's
it
so funny. We're doing that right now. Like, just want to be clear because I'm not that sure. It's when you have the arm across,
yep,
grip underneath the leg.
yep.
Dude, we have that emerge pretty easily though, but like
Interesting. What'd you do?
you
I'm
just
super
constrain
curious.
it super, super small, which almost this is where I'm okay. Well, that's super specific, is what I mean. So I'll give you that. But just to answer the first question, what am I
Yeah,
teaching towards? I
yeah,
used to teach towards how do I make a specific move that I want to see look like that happen. And it works. Like you can do that easily. You can make people do exactly what you want. But then the
yeah,
problem is you're literally just live drilling. And that's
yeah.
not good or bad. I don't think it's good or bad. I'll still some from time to time do hyper specific things. Like I really
In
love
general, I think it's overly prescriptive. There are things like the pendulum sweep where I think it's
right.
good.
Yes, this is what I mean. Yeah, yeah, exactly. And I think there's a balance there. Whereas Greg lies so far on one end of the spectrum, but something he'll always encourage and say is like it's about your room. It's about what you
Yeah,
want your athletes to look like. He wants his athletes to look like overall generic, like they can deal with any novelty. Whereas I kind of like introducing like a specific either not a system but a style. So,
yeah,
for example, for the pendulum, like the first and foremost thing is like, let's start with a beginner. Close guard, learning how to just control posture. That's the number one thing. Don't let him stand up because otherwise your pendulum is going to be hard to do. The second game, I like to start them backwards, right? I would start them with the arm across, back
yes,
grip, and a grip under the leg.
got
And
it.
now your
Yeah, that's
job
what
is
I've been doing.
get on top or behind, right?
So I think
Then,
one interesting thing here is like you primarily work with adults, right?
yeah, I'm the kids program's coming back. I had kids before, but now the kids program's coming back. But yeah, now it's only adults.
So with kids, one thing I noticed with that, right, is even in that position, they still have trouble coordinating the movement of windmilling their legs to take
Yeah.
the person over. And it doesn't have to be that windmill. No, there's other
No.
ways that you could generate that sideways movement, right? But
Yeah.
what I notice is that there's actually sometimes with children and also with adults who have no
Definitely.
experience doing anything physical, sometimes they actually do have challenges coordinating things. Have you ever
Yeah.
encountered that type of thing where like people
Yes.
can't figure out how to like do a particular movement? Like how do you
Yes,
deal
dude.
with that? Do you still use CLA or will you stop them and be like, this is how you windmill your legs?
So I think it's person to person, and like that's one of the downsides that Brie St. Marie actually made me really aware of, which is the way she presented it, which is first of all, not everyone's creative. And that's a big deal because like this requires you to be creative in your
Yes.
finding of solutions. Some people like literally just don't have that creativity in them.
I
And
also think though the stochastic noise in the system, like the perturbations of your solutions, creates forces you to be creative, right? So like if somebody isn't creative, you just need to perturb their existing solution enough and they'll eventually find something new or just fail forever and be miserable.
yeah, like I was gonna say, it can go both ways, bro. It can go both ways. So
My
it's either
my
be
Tai Chi teacher used to say, "You'll either figure this out or you'll die."
yeah, that sounds right. But the movement solution is you can't through CLA, like specifically in what we're doing, you can't
Yeah.
teach people how to move.
Yeah.
You and that is like its own thing, you know? And it's funny that you said that because I've been kind of debating and I've been talking to Greg about this. I don't like the warm-ups in general because they're trying to create movements that don't transfer
Yes.
specifically to how we move when there's weight on us. Like a
Yeah.
shrimp without weight is drastically different than a shrimp with weight. But I feel like there's so much benefit to, and it's almost like a constrained way of learning how to move your body to warming up with specific, like just like they do with like how you roll with your head to one side or how you sit out because they've never moved that way to begin
Yeah.
with.
And to me,
And
like, oh, go ahead.
no, just it's just my whole thing with that is just, is there merit to like you can't teach someone how to move um isolated from jujitsu without teaching them. Do you know what I'm saying? Like if someone doesn't
Yes.
know how to
So,
pendulum their legs without weight, like with weight, it'll probably be even different. And it is a different
well,
skill
here's
in
the
general,
question,
but
right? So, like, let's say you take a break dancer who's very
sure.
skilled at windmilling their legs, would they
Right,
have an
right.
easier time learning to apply that?
I don't know. I don't know.
That's a tough question, right?
You know,
I think that a break dancer with experience moving in that way has an easier time than a person who doesn't know how to pattern the movement, right?
yeah,
Because
yeah,
and also now
because they're familiar with how to move their hips off of their back and
we're also not talking about skill for me anymore.
exactly,
To me, this isn't
exactly,
skill. This is actually action capacity. This is something that goes in the realm of
exactly.
strength and conditioning.
Can they
So
do this? Right?
can
Are
we?
they
So can we
physically
do
able to move that way?
exactly? So
I
can we
agree
do
wholeheartedly.
shrimps in our strength and conditioning? Yes. Does it belong
Exactly.
in jiu-jitsu
Dude,
practice? Probably
exactly.
not.
But now my problem I have here is our guys, a majority of them aren't going to a strength and conditioning, aren't learning to move on their own. And so I'm having this
Yes.
this like debate of like, is it worth like doing that? And I think in my new beginner program that we're going to come out with, I think I might start incorporating maybe 5 minutes of just like, I don't know that rolls and shrimps are necessary, but specifically like
Movements.
just how to move your body, just naturalistic style movements, which again
Yes.
falls in strength and conditioning.
Well, I think that this is also like the how we got to the original class format that we have
Right,
was
right.
like
It feels like we're just
coach
going full circle, dude.
coaches
Yeah,
were like, hey, like, our guys aren't doing their strength and conditioning and they're lacking action capacity in certain ways. Let's include some
yeah.
movements in the beginning of class that
And we
develop
sound
those.
and just like to be clear, it sounds so stupid that I'm just saying, you know what I'm going to start doing is the warm-ups they were doing anyway. But I
Yeah.
think it's removing the nuance of me going, well, we're not going to do the rolls, we're not going to do the shrimps. I just want to teach them like literally how to move their body in specific ways that aren't jujitsu specific.
Yeah.
Like literally, how do I move my hip in isolation from my knee? You know what I
Yes.
mean?
Yes.
Like,
Yes.
how do I move my elbow in isolation from my shoulder, my neck, etc. Versus like, all right, turn your head to the side, roll over your shoulder, or like sit out like this. I know you understand what I'm saying, but I feel like it's important because I just feel like people will clip farm us and be like, "Eco
Yes.
guys are going back to original, original warm up," and it's like, no, that's not what I'm trying to say. I'm saying
No.
if I can't teach my guy how to move his shoulders in isolation from his hips, he's gonna have a hard time to begin with.
You know what it's like is like I teach these 3 and 4 year olds sometimes, and I have to teach them shoulder, elbow, wrist,
Yeah,
hip, knee, ankle. They don't know that,
of course
right?
not.
So that's not drilling,
No, dude. Of course not.
right?
Yeah, yeah.
It's
Yeah.
not drilling. It's just
Yeah.
I need you to be able to be coordinated enough
Yeah.
to find a suitable movement solution. If your
Yeah.
coordination is so low, then I need to get you up to that point, get you up to
Yeah.
speed. So
And
yeah,
you know what's been really I feel like it's funny because we're just kind of like an echo chamber, you and I. It feels
yes.
like, and so I want to introduce
We're
like
like, yes, yes. The thing
yeah,
you said, that's the
legit.
same thing I'm saying.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. And I don't want it to become that. But I've been
Let's fight.
having more and more, like I've made it a point this year to something that Greg said to me about somebody else. I'm not gonna say about who, but he's like, that person really wants to be a guy. But the problem is he doesn't want to just plant his feet and build. And he wasn't talking about me, but I took it I was like, whoa, I feel like I'm that guy where I want to be a guy, but I'm not like planting my feet and building in my own gym. And so anyway, I said that because I've been making sure to bring a lot of athletes through the gym now, and like I'm building my space. And I get so much pushback from the highest level grapplers, which is really hard to counter. Like Bree St. Marie is an incredible athlete, an incredible jiu-jitsu practitioner, an incredible like mind for the sport. And she's already come in and tainted Gianni in a way. Like Gianni's already getting back to like techniques and drilling, and I understand the merit to it. I do. But the point of me to say this is that it's hard for me as like the eco guy to develop the idea without them doing the research on their own
Yeah, they know they need to. I think for
because their lens is solely what's happening on the mat. And I don't think they understand how much of it also comes from how it feels so good to see knowledge and download and remember it and assume that because you remember it, you can apply it. But yes, and so it's like it's almost ego filling. But
yes,
like I don't want to
it
say
is. No,
that
no,
to
no, it
people and then
is.
think and this isn't a anything bad about appreciate. I honestly
No, no, no. I get exactly what you're
we
saying.
love her. Like there's
Hold,
no
hold
downside to
on
her.
1 second. I gotta
Yeah, no problem.
grab something.
No problem. And yeah, so I was just saying, drilling is the way to go. All right, we got to drill, drill, drill. If you
Drill,
come to
drill, drill.
bodega,
So I can't remember if it's in this book, which is
yeah,
nonlinear
uh-huh,
pedagogy and skill acquisition, or if it's in this one, which is constraints-led
yeah,
approach. Come on, camera.
yeah.
Um,
You have
I
to do this thing.
can't remember which one. All right,
Sure.
but in one of these, there's a really interesting piece of research about CLA versus drilling, and it shows that people who do information processing based training walk away with this feeling that they've learned more.
Fulfillment. Yeah.
Yeah. And people who do CLA feel
I
that
think
they
it's the
didn't learn
pedagogy one.
anything.
Yeah.
And then when they're tested on the retention,
Right.
the result is the opposite. That the people
Sure.
who do the CLA and don't think they learned anything learned more. And the people who did the
Yeah.
drilling and thought they learned a whole bunch didn't actually learn anything.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I think this is one of the greatest challenges we have with CLA and ecological dynamics is that it feels like it's not working.
Yeah. Yeah.
I
Exactly.
think
That's
that's one
exactly
of the
right.
that drilling is so ego reinforcing and it's so like good, right?
Yes.
It feels so good. It's like, oh, I learned something, but then you just
Yeah.
forget it and you can't do it.
The thing with yes, I agree. The thing with drilling and technique that I think is invaluable is the intentions that you're trying to set with your training,
Mm-hmm.
right? The problem that people have is that they don't believe that you can do that with just the intention.
Yes.
They believe
No,
that
I
you
get
need to
exactly what you're
have
saying.
all the prescription behind it. And like anytime, like again, and I'm only using Bree because she felt like such a intelligent, like great mind of jujitsu. Like she has so much knowledge everywhere that whenever she would give me this whole like breakdown of things, it can be broken down to just like, the intentions that you're trying to do there. Get past
Yeah.
the knee, get your hips. And like, yes, there's a million different ways to do that. But I feel like we can get all those results through the intention. And this
Yes.
is why I keep saying I don't know that it's true, but I believe it. I want to. You earlier on, you said you've been a little bit more prescriptive with your CLA. I don't know if you're trying to keep that in your sleeve or not, but I was going to say I actually have been falling more and more in the line that I don't believe that technique is the enemy. I think that the idea of drilling it without resistance or this idea of varying resistance is the
Yes.
enemy.
So
That's what I think the enemy
I
is.
show often, and I'll probably get attacked for this by the CLA people, but I often will show 2 to 3 techniques at the end of the CLA practice. So I'll
Yeah, that's actually probably so. Okay, I'm glad you said that. So there's two things I have to say here. Most CLA books that I've read actually don't have a problem with telling you how to do it,
yeah.
but now I think it actually falls into two camps. I don't think it falls into this. idea of ecological dynamics, whereas ecological dynamics is about, figuring out your environment and learning how to do it in your own way. That's ecological, in my opinion, right? I don't know. But CLA is just a tool of constraining your specific practice. So I don't know that one is wrong or right. I just think we might be talking about two different things now. Whereas like if you're talking ecological, like, dude, you can't tell them how to do it. You got to give them the intention. But if you're talking about CLA and just the tool of constraining their training, you can do whatever the hell you want there.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. So I got to wrap up soon, but I want
Okay,
to
yeah.
close on this one because I think this is really good, and we'll probably have to come back and do this again because this was really there was a lot here. But so my understanding is this: that ecological dynamics is a perspective, and from the perspective of ecological
Exactly right.
dynamics, we don't want to spend a lot of time doing dead drilling. What we can do though is draw people's attention to a particular technique
Yeah.
as a solution to a problem. So,
Right.
so I'll let people experience the problem, play around with it. I oftentimes will do minimal demonstration because I don't want them to copy me. All right. But then what I'll do is at the very end, I'll say, these are some classic ways that in jiu-jitsu, historically, we've dealt with these problems. And, I'll show them a couple of things. And I think that oftentimes is actually helpful because for those solutions that have existed in our sport for a long time, in a number of cases, are better solutions than you might come up with on day one. It's not always true. You get sometimes people come
Yes, yeah,
up with
yeah.
some new stuff
No,
that's
no doubt, no
awesome.
doubt, no doubt. But I'm just saying you can make that solution emerge by just constraining a little more most
Yes.
of the time. So I don't think you need to explain the solution. And the other end to that, so we had
Yeah.
Gianni doing that for a while where he would play all the games and then at the end give how he would like to do it.
Yeah.
And I think that's great, but the problem is I think that's even less retention because then you've already dealt with the problem. When's the next time you're going to do that problem again? So I
Well,
think if you are going to introduce a solution, it's probably better to play the game, talk about it, play the game again. But even then, it's like I don't
I
know.
think that I don't want them to retain the solution I'm showing them. You
Then
know,
why show them?
I want them to see an example that's coherent. I want them to see how somebody can solve the problem.
But if you don't want them to retain it, right? It's almost like you have to
I
like
want them to
question
retain
yourself.
the intentions that
That's what
are
I'm saying.
encoded in
Right.
each
And
piece.
that's what I mean. If that's what you want, then reinitiate and what am I trying to say? Like keep putting that in initiative keep putting
Keep
that
using
intention
keep using
into it.
constraints to try to
Yeah.
get those. Yeah.
And repeat the intention over and over. And
Well,
that's where I've kind of fallen lately where it's like,
yeah.
all right, that's where the money is. That the
My thinking
intentions.
is that it's good to that it's about time, right? Like I want to spend 90% of the time with that CLA approach. And then if
Yeah.
at the end we spend 10 minutes when everyone's tired, just kind of showing them, oh, this is
Sure.
what it looks like, then they see it and they say, oh, that's something I could have been trying to do. That makes sense.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
funny. I'm sure
How long
Gianni
how
will be
long are your
pissed.
classes?
What do you say?
How long are your classes?
With CLA, when I do pure CLA, everyone's cooked after an hour,
Yeah, but like typically like how long are your class? An hour?
hour and 15.
So yeah, because an hour and 15 allots you at least those 10 minutes. The
Yeah.
problem with ours is like we have 7 to 8, 8 to 9. So there's not enough time. But yeah,
Yeah, I
but
don't
what
think
were
it's
you
worth
about to
it.
say about Gianni though?
So I think he'll get pissed at me for saying this,
Let's
but I
go.
saw I saw something and I was like, oh man, like Gianni could have won this match and he lost it on a very specific thing because he had the guy on in reverse closed guard,
Oh, with the A block. Forget it. We've
but he
already hit that.
wasn't doing an A block.
I know he's doing a
He
toll.
was
Don't
doing
even
a
get me
regular
started.
toe hold.
Don't even get me
And
started, bro.
and so it was really funny
But
because
wait,
I
wait.
was like, I wasn't sure if that was like now that we're talking about, I'm not sure if that was a drilling thing or a not drilling thing, but I'm like, I wonder if he had drilled some A blocks, if it would have helped him.
No, it wouldn't. It was just the idea that that's even an option. Like, because I did my A block in the UFC match, and I had never done an A block before,
Oh,
right?
really?
And I've just seen that. Like, I was like, oh, like I've been doing the toe hold, but this time he kept straightening out. I was like, all right, let me try that thing.
It stops them from kicking out.
Right. And we've talked about it now, but what I was just going to say to back Gianni up a little bit, I don't think that the A block would have even worked there because
Okay,
this dude's knee was popping, bro.
got it. Okay,
Like,
some
like
people
homie
will
just was
just
like,
eat
I'm not
that stuff.
tapping to this, not
Yeah, yeah,
tapping it,
yeah.
bro. Yeah. So I don't know.
No, Abe
Dude, what an
himself
amazing
put
match
Wagner in
though,
an A
right?
block, and Wagner just didn't tap. He just let him pop his ankle.
That's what I'm saying, dude. Did you see how amazing that match was, though? Like, I'm just saying, Johnny opened up skills that we didn't have, and he never
Yeah,
drilled any of them. He never
dude.
drilled getting the reverse close guard, you know?
Let me tell you something. I trained with you before you started doing the ecological dynamics constraints-led approach training, and like you were kind of like a little bit of a leg locker. I remember,
Oh, thanks.
which also was kind of my thing, but since then, like when we've trained together, the breadth of your skills is crazy.
Thanks, man.
It's just like so many different positions. You're so much better in so many different positions,
Thanks, man. That
and
means a
I've
lot.
experienced the same thing too with myself with this. So I mean,
I can
I
see you when you're training too. I'm like, well, he looks way more well-rounded on your feet, which I remember you not being that like
yeah
incredible on your feet. Like you seem really good. So anyway, yeah, like yes, dude, but yeah, again with the Johnny thing, it's a perfect example of just like me not giving him more intention. Now we're doing more reverse close guard games where the intent is different, you know?
yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, and that's such a good point, right? Because we always talk about it based off technique, but
Yeah.
the issue there is actually an issue of intent, right? Because
Yeah, dude.
we need to rotate the leg to break it from reverse close guard.
Yes,
But
bro.
the problem is that the person has an incredible ability to kick out, so we need to thread the arm through, right? So
The
that's
other end to your
yeah,
like to, it's just not to hold you up much longer, but earlier you were saying like we all know that the scientifically would be if you just drill and not go live. I feel like there's another approach too. We all know that guy who knows every single instructional detail and memorizes it, who sucks at jujitsu.
well, I
We
know
know that
two
guy.
people. I know two guys like that. They don't
Yeah.
suck. They're
Okay.
solid,
Sure.
but I beat them every time with novelty.
Dude, this is what I mean. Like, yeah, I know
We have
those
a we have
guys.
a, we have a third guest on our podcast.
Let's go.
But
So cute.
yeah, no, I've had that happen a bunch of times where I beat these guys. You know Carmichael?
Are you calling someone out right now?
No, do you know Carmichael from Ground
Uh,
Game Theory?
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, really great guy. We met in a competition where I hit him with this bullshit sleeveless Ezekiel. He's an incredible grappler.
Yeah, he's good.
He's really really good. He could give me a run for my money any day of the week.
Yeah.
And I only got him because he was a hardcore driller and he was studying all this Danaher stuff and he wasn't ready for a sleeveless Ezekiel from half guard false lockdown, you
Sure,
know?
sure.
So
Well, that's one approach, novelty, but also it's just like also I feel like if you're just trying to make again, you already know the deal. I hate to sound like an echo chamber, but yeah, if you're just trying to force one thing over and over, it's even easier to beat, you know? I love how much you love her, dude.
well, look, this was great. I really enjoyed it. And I think it's funny because we got on here and we basically were an echo chamber, but sometimes
Yeah.
it's good to bounce these ideas and realize that, there's other people out here in the space that are doing really similar stuff. The camera wants to pick up my daughter more than me. It's
It's
interesting.
whoever's closer. Dude, so if you we should probably get someone in here who doesn't agree with us.
Yeah, that would be great. We should
That's the way
I
to
know
do
a
it.
couple people.
Me
That would be
too. I
really
know a
fun.
million, dude. I could just close my eyes and pick a DM.
Let's do it.
My boy, thanks for having me on, bro. Seriously.
Absolutely.
Just
Thank
real
you.
quick, shout out to Bodega Jiu Jitsu in Maplewood. We have pro trainings Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and Tuesdays in the morning. We have a new space coming up. Make sure to check us out. Thank you, Level Black, and check out my Patreon.
And it's a
Bodega
it's
Jiu
a
Jitsu
great
Patreon.
gym. Really enjoyed training there. Highly
Thanks,
recommend
man.
it. You can make it out. It's a great room.
Yeah, we have a lot of really big names coming up too in the next few weeks. We have Owen Jones coming to train for ADCC camp. We have Chris Wojcik coming for the ADCC camp. And I know a bunch of people are going to try and make it in, so make sure you DM me first.
Absolutely. Awesome. Thanks, Kyvan. Thanks so much for doing this.
Thank you, bro. Do I say goodbye now or what? Or is there like a pause and then later?